Okay, today is the first starter home in the Newcrest build series that I'll be doing. I do have a couple more coming, but this one in particular I'm quite proud of. It's quite beachy, a little bit boho. And the idea with this particular home is that you can pick it up, you can download it from the gallery, Brownflowersims, and you can chuck it on any neighborhood in any of the Sims worlds and it's gonna look good. If you like the video, please do give it a big thumbs up, or if you just like watching me struggle through the process of building my very first starter home, then also give it a big thumbs up or leave a comment below. You can also follow me on Instagram at Brownflower for more art related content, or subscribe to the channel because I do put out a new video every Tuesday. Without further ado, we're going to jump into it. I'll see you on the other side. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Lily. I do a bunch of speed builds in The Sims 4 and today we are doing exactly that, but a little bit different in that this is, believe it or not, my first ever starter home. Actually, that's not true. My first ever starter home was probably, 15, 20 years ago in the original version of The Sims when I had no idea things like Rosebud and Motherlode and all of the cheat codes existed. So I'd slog away and live in the smallest, crappiest houses there were until I realized that there was that cheat. And ever since then, I have always had dishwashers and level 1 career people living in mega mansions, which would be really nice, but it's not that realistic. So I thought I'd challenge myself today. To a lot of other people, this might not seem like a challenge at all because a lot of people do actually play the game properly, unlike me. But for me, it is a challenge. I have never, ever once looked at how much things cost in terms of simoleons. And for those of you that don't know, maybe you don't play The Sims but you enjoy watching speed builds, when you create a family in The Sims and move them into a house, you have starter funds, and that's $20,000 for your first sim and $2,000 for every sim after that. So you're usually dealing with between 20 and sort of 26,000 if you've got a partner and a kid in the house or whatever. And so that's sort of what I was trying to build to today. It is a 2-bedroom house that I'm building and I was sticking to 26,000 as a budget. I did get in under 20,000, which is great. And in terms of the style of the house, it's quite boho really, but it's got elements of really modern things happening, and then it's got quite retro elements as well. So it's a bit mismatched, but I say retro because you see those breeze blocks there that I'm colouring now. They're the windows that I've chosen. I actually really like them, but they do seem to me a little bit retro. Breeze blocks in Australia are sort of coming back into fashion at the moment in interior design, especially in the exterior of homes and whatnot, but I haven't ever used them before in The Sims, so I thought I'd give them a go today. And I've sort of offset that with the sandstone half of the house and then the concrete half of the other house. So it's kind of industrial as well with the elements that I'm using, but I do tend to build industrial style houses all the time and I'm getting really, really sick of it. So I tried to break out of my usual vibe with this one. And I was actually kind of pleased with how it turned out. There was a lot of trial and error that happened because I've never built a starter home before in The Sims 4, and you'll notice that I shrink the house consistently. So at the moment it's way too big. I ran out of money really quickly, so you'll see me sort of shrinking things in on themselves. The main layout of the house stays the same. I just sort of shave a few tiles off here and there. At the moment the bathroom is 4x4 tiles, which is massive for a bathroom, so I make that smaller. But yeah, you'll see when I get up to those bits when I'm running out of money. I left the menu on the left-hand top side up so you could see how much I'm spending throughout, and sort of as a guide for myself to make sure I wasn't burning too much cash. So in terms of the inside of the house and the style, I went with really cheap wallpapers that actually come in really nice colors though. There's like a whole pastel section that I think they come with the base game. So I used those, and I've got the bedrooms as sort of like a teal and green bedroom on either side, and the main living areas are very white. At the moment there are white floorboards that match the front and back veranda inside the house, but I changed those to a bit of a warmer shade later, more like a sandy color, because at the moment it's quite sterile, and I am going with sort of powder colored appliances and furniture as well, so it all was a bit washed out. So I do change that later. But I'm going for, in the kitchen, a bit of a pastel vibe. I really like these powder blue cabinetry, and they're really cheap, so I was pleasantly surprised about that. But as you can see, I'm making this kitchen enormous, and people who build tiny homes are probably laughing like, oh my god, girl, you're gonna run out of money really quickly, or what are you doing? You know, I'm judging myself as I'm watching this back, because it was very over-ambitious of me to think that I had enough space for just 20k. I'm already at $14,000 now, and this is the first room I'm furnishing, so you get that I'm in a bit of a pickle here financially. But yeah, I'm adding in a lot of textures now. I love the oven I've chosen. It's a nice pop of color, a bit of a focal point for the kitchen. If I had a stove like that in real life, I'd be so happy. I think it looks quite French and very sort of Pinterest style kitchen. And because I couldn't afford any of the upper cabinetry, I decided to use shelving instead, and I combined those skinnier, cheap shelves with one of those feature shelving units to create a little bit more interest. And then I went through the debug menu, which you'll see me now, looking for different clutter items for cheap. I did get that poster, which I thought tied really nicely, the top of that sky and that poster with the oven. But for the most part, I had to really skimp on the clutter in this room because I ran out of money. So I do end up taking a few of the clutter items I'm placing at the moment and move them over to other areas of the house because, again, funds are tight. Moving into the what's this even called? God, losing my mind. Moving into the living room. And it's a very small living room. There's no room for a dining table in this house, so instead it's just like a breakfast bar that you sit at, which I think is completely fine. There is enough space though to grow into this house later as you get more money. Maybe pop a dining table in if you like. It's all gravy, there'll be space for that. But as for the living room, really plain and simple. I've got quite white furnishings, and I'm using a lot of the fabricated items that come with, what's it called? Is it Eco Living? Eco Living? I think it is, or Tiny. It's not Tiny Living, I think it's Eco Living. And I use a lot of the fabricated furniture, even though it's really cheap, and often it's quite uncomfortable, which annoys me because it looks so nice, and it's frustrating when you want to have really nice stuff in your house, but ironically, it's the most uncomfortable. So anyway, I'm back outside now, and this is where you'll see me skimping, making things smaller, contracting the house inwards on itself because I'm running out of money, and now I'm back inside. So I did a bit of a feature wall colour, again a bit of a pastel purple vibe for the inside of the living room there, and in this corner I thought it would be quite nice to have a little skill building study nook sort of thing happening. So we've got the desk with the really good laptop and a nice chair. That chair actually comes with, when you unlock sort of level 10 of, I think, the doctor career or something, but I liked the way that it matched in with that yoga mat and the little puff that also matches the oven. Do you call it a puff? I call it a puff. I think people call it an ottoman, but I call it a foot puff. Anyway, we're in the bathroom now, and this is what I'm realizing, okay, that bathroom is stupidly big, so I'm making it smaller. And it's just basics. It's a regular old bathroom. It's shower. There isn't a bath in this house, so if you do come with a toddler, sorry about that. You're probably going to have to swap out that shower for one that has a bath in it, or put a bath in. There is room though in that bathroom to do that, but I obviously was trying to skimp on cash, and I was making this house for just a one single sim person to grow into with sort of a legacy challenge potentially. So I didn't really need a bath, so I left it without. And that's kind of really the main guts of the house done in terms of furnishing. So again, I'm making it smaller, realizing I have no space. So, I mean, no money, not no space. I've actually still got plenty of space. I think I was really ambitious in having a house that big anyway. I think it's because I'm used to building huge mansions with spas and pools and all of the like bells and whistles. So this was really good practice for me to realize that you can actually do quite nice smaller houses on a budget. So again, you're just going to keep watching me sort of pivot and move and shove things inwards. While I'm doing all of that, I thought I'd maybe talk a bit more about myself, because hopefully some of you guys are return viewers from the last video. Maybe this is your first time on the channel, maybe you're just a friend who's here to support me. In any case, thank you very much for listening and joining me. My name is Lily. I live in Sydney, Australia, which I believe to be the most beautiful place on the planet. I feel very lucky to live here. I work as a graphic designer by day in an advertising agency. And at night when I'm home, I love gaming, especially The Sims, but all sorts of things. I also have a PS4 and an Xbox, so I sort of live and breathe gaming. I just adore it. So does my partner, so I'm very lucky that we have a house that's just conducive to that environment. But yeah, I'd love to know a bit more about who's listening, who you are, where you're from in the world. I'm really hoping to be able to build a really nice little community on my page here with everybody, because I think that the Sims community is just some of the nicest people in the world, and I want to get to know you guys a bit better. So please do pop a comment down below, and if you do like the video, please give it a thumbs up as well. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel if you'd like. It's going to really help me get my content out to the rest of the world and to keep motivating myself to make more of these builds. Next week, I will be back with potentially what am I doing next week? I've already built a whole bunch of stuff and I'm just figuring out what order to release it in. I'll probably switch back to a mansion next week or something of the sort. I built this really cool rooftop garden house with like heaps of gardening like a big gardener's retreat, lots of making stations and such. So I might share that next week. I might not, who knows? But anyway, tune in then if you want to see something a little bit different again from me. But now we're outside. We're finally in the backyard, and I love this backyard. I think the best part about it that you'll see is that you can place it on any terrain in any of the worlds and it's going to look really good. And that's because I use garden beds from the debug menu, which are here now that you can see. So because the grass is contained within these little garden beds as such, in using those alone to create sections or zones within my garden and not placing any other terrain paint anywhere else, you can pick up this house, you can dump it in a desert place like Strangerville or Willow Creek or wherever, and no matter what, it's going to look really good. It also doesn't have a pool, so theoretically you should be able to place it in Sulani. I could be wrong. I think a few things might get cut out of the build because if you're choosing a lot with water, it might not like that it's on a foundation. I'm not sure, but for the most part, I think you could place this lot anywhere and it would look really good because of these garden beds. And at this point I'd run out of money, so I'm using the debug menu out of a necessity to landscape outside of the house. And it's got this really like sort of tropical coastal vibe. These are very Australian looking plants, the agaves and the little short stubby palm trees. So I actually feel like this is a really Australian looking house. Very beachy, very boho, something that the Three Birds Renovation Girls or Kyle and Kara would do. If you don't follow those two pages on any of the platforms, then do yourself a favor and find them. I'll actually link them in the description below because they are phenomenal. If you love interior design, the whole process of building houses, and I'm talking actual houses, not sim houses, then you should check them out. I get a lot of inspiration for my builds in The Sims from those guys, so I'll link them in the description for you to take a look. But yes, the outside area, the whites, the breeze blocks, all of that is inspiration from them. And thank God for the debug menu. If you don't know what the debug menu is, it essentially gives you access to all of the objects created for the Sims worlds by EA. So the things that fill out the community lots, the landscape of the actual terrain itself within the world of The Sims, all of it becomes accessible in the debug menu. And you can search by pack type as well. It helps you to really create a submersive environment with your build where you can make it look like it seamlessly blends into the environment by using other trees or landscaping elements that are in your particular world that you're building in. I'm building in Newcrest and I could have chosen a lot of other more local, I suppose, trees and landscaping elements, but because I wanted this house to live anywhere and have it be a bit more stylized, I didn't really go down that route so much. But I did use some rocks from Jungle Adventure, which I've used to like line the entire perimeter of the house, and I like to think of that as you could sit on it. In reality, you could maybe put some pot plants on there. It's quite a functional way to fill out the space. And so I've done that around the outside with the debug menu. And again, I'm using even more items now from in there, like these rocks, to fill it out and give it even more texture. And those tables and chairs as well as some pot plants that I'll put in are all from that debug menu. So if you're looking for not just things that are free if you're doing a challenge like a starter home challenge, but also if you just want to see what other options that aren't in the build by menu, then go check out the debug menu. You will need to enable cheats and type in a couple of different things to get to these menus. I'll let you Google that rather than talk you through it now. But it's all over YouTube, it's all over Google. You'll find out how to do it in an absolute pinch. It's super easy. So consider doing that if you want to access this debug menu for yourself. And if you want to go another step further, you can even get mods downloaded that help you to sort the debug menu. I don't have that mod in this particular house build because I didn't discover that until after I'd already filmed this video, but trust me, it's very, very worthwhile. And now I'm just adding in, what am I doing now? I'm changing the front door, that's right. I wanted a cheaper door so I could get under 20k. And I loved this Strangerville door and I made it white. It looked quite nice in green, to be honest, but I made it white and I think that looks quite nice. And for the most part, I think we're done. I choose a bit more of a modern mailbox. I've since realized since playtesting that mailbox doesn't really work. I get the mailman telling me every day that he threw the mail in, but that's all right. I mean, you can use your phone to pay your bills and do everything the mailbox does anyway. So if you do get bothered by it, just use the build by menu to move it out a square. There is space to do that out the front without it affecting it. Otherwise, I'm just going to finish off now with a few more of these like stepping stone tiles. These are also from the debug menu. I love using them for a bit of texture, and I use terrain paint underneath them for a bit more realism than you would get by just doing floorboards or, floor outside. I tried curving them here, but that really just didn't work out for me. So I end up going straight all the way and create sort of a zone in the backyard. I love this backyard because you could add a pool, you could extend the house. This is a really good sized lot for a starter home because you can grow into it, which I really, really like and I think is important. But anyway, I'm going to stop blabbing now because it's about to get into the screenshots and everything else at the end. If you do like this video, please give me a big thumbs up, like I said before, or leave a comment, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much. You can get this on the gallery at Brownflowersims. It's under Balmy Springs Starter. I think that's it. I hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.